Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. In today's video, I want to speak to you guys about both the Voidwalker and Sentinel subclasses, as well as some of the changes coming to the control game type in Destiny 2. Today was of course the next news drop from IGN for Destiny 2, and they actually released 4 different videos. The first one was an interview with Lars Bakken about the changes to control. The second one was a tour of the brand new map design specifically for control. And the other 2 were 4 to 5 minutes of raw Crucible gameplay, one of which was as a Voidwalker, the other was a Sentinel. So in this video, I want to speak to you guys about everything you need to know. As always, you can find those videos linked down below if you want to check them out for yourselves. And if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated. And be sure to comment down below and let me know what you guys think. Now to begin with, I want to speak about the Voidwalker, because up until now, while we have seen the Voidwalker throw a Nova Bomb in the initial gameplay reveal trailer, we haven't seen any actual gameplay of it in action beyond that point, until of course now. And this is pretty exciting because while they didn't dive into the skill tree or do anything like that in depth, we still got to look at the melee, the way it jumps, its grenades, and also a very different looking super. So first up, let's speak about melee. This is actually an interesting topic, and in fact there was actually a quote from Giggs earlier. I'm trying to sort of find out where we got the source from this for, but it seems in an attempt to kind of create crucible balance across the board, every single subclass will actually have the exact same melee range, and that is going to be about 4.5 meters. So that should kind of dispel the previous sort of difficulties you had whereby, you know, Warlocks had these insane long distances on their melee versus, you know, some of the other classes. And of course, if you actually look at some of the gameplay, while melees aren't too frequent, you do get a chance to sort of see how they do appear to work at sort of a, you know, relatively similar distance. So melee-wise, for the Voidwalker, things seem pretty much the same. On the grenade front, this time around, they appear to be using these scatter grenades. They didn't do any swapping, so for the time being, we at least know that one is present. What is interesting, however, is that the Voidwalker does have blink. Now, up until now, we of course haven't seen this in any gameplay because the Arekkz, which is of course replacing the Blade Dancer, doesn't have blink. It has the directional control, the double jump extension, and of course the triple jump, which is in line with the Gunslinger. And of course, you know, back in Destiny 1, Blade Dancer was the Hunter class to have blink. So the fact that we didn't have that there were of course questions as to whether blink will be making a return. But as you can see in this gameplay, it is indeed returning. By the way, if you want to check out the entire gameplay, again, do check the videos linked down below. I'm only going to be using a few snippets of gameplay in this video since it did come from IGN. So for Voidwalkers out there, for those of you guys that do like blink in things like the Crucible, then this may well be your go-to subclass. We of course know the Dawnblade doesn't have blink. It does of course have your usual Warlock jumps. So again, that is something to consider. But now let's speak about the super. Now, of course, there will more than likely be different variations to this, different ways to kind of, you know, use the Nova Bomb. But this one here actually seems to travel considerably slower. Instead of kind of throwing out the usual fast Nova Bomb that just kind of dips down and then blows up on the ground, this one is almost like a big, kind of like a sort of Super Saiyan, like meteor bomb coming down, except you kind of don't put it above your head. But when you actually push this out, this sort of Nova Bomb, it actually travels a little bit slower. And if you look at the very end, it looks like there's a chance that it may well home in on the target, because you can actually see it seems to travel in what appears to be a relatively straight line until you get to the very end, and then it begins to curve. Now, if this is the case, it may be one of those things where, think of it like an Overwatch, where if you fire out, say, Hanzo's Dragon, you kind of have to sort of account for people in the kind of path they're going to cross. So it may well be that you can get a lot more out of this. Of course, you know, until I can actually read the description, we don't necessarily know for sure. But if this is, say, something that just travels through and anything caught in the path, you know, takes damage or potentially gets killed, then you could maybe kind of use this to lock off a corridor or kind of push it down a corridor, force people back, or kill everyone in the process. But either way, it behaves very differently. This is how it seems to be working at the moment. There will, of course, more than likely be variations on this. So for those of you guys that maybe want to have, you know, something more similar to what it was before, that may well be an option. But as we've seen in this gameplay, it seems to travel slower, but it seems to be bigger. So it's probably going to be interesting on that. Definitely let me know what you guys think of it. It does seem like it could be pretty useful for sort of those objective type game modes if you do, or if you can use this to lock down a particular area. But anyway, that is pretty much all we have on the Voidwalker at the moment. So if we then jump over to the Sentinel, again, don't forget that later on this week, on Wednesday in fact, IGN will be giving us a more in-depth look at the Sentinel. So hopefully when that does happen, we'll get a look at the subclass tree. But for the time being, we've actually had a little bit more gameplay. Now, main thing for this one, of course, the punch is just a standard melee punch, again at the sort of same range as the Warlock one, assuming that of course measurement, and the quote before was accurate. The grenade they're using appears to be the suppressor grenade, so of course the one you can use to shut down people's abilities. It does of course have the barricade, which is the class ability for the Titan, so this will transcend subclasses. So the Striker has this, as does the Sentinel, and of course if at some point the Sunbreaker comes back, then that'll of course have the same. This is the one where you put up the wall, you can either hide behind it, or you can put up the lower wall that you can then shoot over and then crouch behind to reload. And of course the same thing applied back to the Warlock. The Voidwalker also has those rifts, so then just like Dawnblade, Voidwalker also has the option to put down the damage rift or the healing rift. Now as for the Sentinel, of course the big thing here is the super. So when you activate it, you have the shield, as you can see here. If you look down at the bottom left, when you see the UI, you can of course see the flashing melee icon. So it seems that if you want to dash forward with the shield, kind of like you would with the relic in the Vault of Glass, then pressing RB will do that. However, pressing RT would of course be the one to throw the shield. And if you actually look at this clip here, it seems the shield will indeed bounce off surfaces. You can see they throw it down on the ground and it bounces straight up. So if that is the case and you can genuinely bounce it off surfaces, then it'll be one of those things where if you knew the enemy was around the corner, you could potentially throw it at the wall and then try and get a rebound kill, which will no doubt be really, really awesome to see if people start doing that on stream, in videos, and just sort of like, generally speaking, trials, highlights, and things like that. So, ability to bounce the shield looks pretty cool, and of course the ability to run forward and just charge into people. So it does seem like, at least on the melee front, that it will behave somewhat similar to the relic in the Vault of Glass. So, that was a very quick look at the Voidwalker and the Sentinel, of course some gameplay. Definitely check out the full Crucible videos down below if you want to see them fully in action. Now, jumping over to Control very quickly, of course, since all PvP, all Crucible game types in Destiny 2 are now 4v4, Control also had some changes. So, to begin with, when you start the game, the ANC flags are captured already for your respective teams. They said the reason behind this is because in Destiny 1, as it is just right now, you're presented with these different opportunities at the very beginning of a Control game type. You can either capture your point, capture B, rush straight for the enemy. There's just so many different things that can happen, and as a result, it kind of splits up the engagement. So by having your respective A or C flags captured already, it then means you have one of two options. You either rush the middle flag, the B flag, or you rush the enemy flag. So that in itself should mean that right off the bat, within the first sort of 10-15 seconds, you're going to have a pretty cool engagement. On top of that, they've now changed it so you now no longer have to neutralize the area. It is just a straight capture. And also, there will now no longer be any kind of speed to capture increases based on the number of people in the circle. So this way, you can of course split up your team accordingly. You don't have to all group up on the same point, because of course you then get the kind of situations where either, you know, people get group killed on the point or people just camp the point. This way, doesn't matter whether you have one person or 4 people there, the point will capture at the exact same rate. Also worth noting that the timing is a little bit different and it is a little bit faster to capture as well, so that should kind of speed up the pace of the game. Basically, the idea behind this is that you can now be a little bit more tactical. You can just say, all right, you know, this one person can go and recap that while someone else flanks around to try and go and get, I don't know, the enemy flag, try and get mid flag, or kind of group up for different engagements. So that's pretty useful. Of course, the flag itself, you might notice here, has a little bit of transparency on it. This is, of course, to help with just, if you're fighting from a point, then the flag's not going to potentially get in your way or obscure your vision. So that's a kind of quality of life thing. As for the way the points work, they've just kind of simplified it. It's very straightforward. If you are controlling one flag and you get a kill, then you get 1 point. If you are controlling 2 flags, then you get 2 points per kill. If you're controlling all 3 and you enter the power play mode, then you get 3 points per kill. Matches are also going to be a little bit shorter this time round, even though the time you see at the top of the screen is about 13 minutes. That's because it is a developer kind of 1v1 mode for the purpose of the tour. Generally speaking, matches will be about 8 minutes, so that will keep them a little bit shorter than before. Mercy rules will also be enabled, and that's something they'll be testing in the beta. Of course, much like all the other game modes you've seen before as well, power ammo is present on the map, but it works the same way you've seen it in the kind of countdown game mode, whereby the only person to collect the power ammo is the only one to get that ammo. So again, it is much more like a power weapon in something like Halo. So if you're the one with the grenade launcher and you pick that up, you are the one with the ammo. So yes, I appreciate there will be situations where, so you're playing online, maybe you're not necessarily match made with anyone, you might be playing with randoms, and then they might try and run and grab the ammo from you, which could be frustrating. But at the same time, it also means that if you're playing as a team and you communicate and you know that someone's, say, got the sniper, you might say, all right, you go grab the ammo, we'll defend, we'll cap, and that way you can, of course, like split out your power weapons accordingly. And there are, of course, 2 different power ammo pickups. One is near the A flag, one is near the C flag, so 1, of course, for each corresponding team. Or 2 for the same team if you decide to sneak around and try and grab it. But either way, that's something you're definitely going to want to watch out for. This will be playable in the beta, so definitely do keep that in mind. Don't think you can just run up and then kind of get power ammo just by standing next to someone. You're definitely going to have to prioritize that if that is something that you want to get. And the map you're seeing being played on, this is called the Endless Vale. It is set on Nessus, and this is the map they built specifically for control. So during the beta, there will be 2 different modes and 2 different maps. Countdown is played on the map you've already seen, and this one is your control map. So depending on the mode you're playing, will depend on the map that you experience. So that, for the time being, is pretty much it. That was a quick look at the Voidwalker, Sentinel, and the changes to control. Now, there are a few other things I do want to speak about. There were some new weapons cited in here, plus there were a few snippets of extra information that came out from the article the other day, but at the time there wasn't kind of a great deal in it, so I'll probably group that up into another video and drop that for you guys to check that out tomorrow. So for the time being, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Also, if you guys haven't seen it already on Twitter, currently running a giveaway for some HyperX goodies, a headset, a mouse, and also a product that has yet to be announced. It'll be announced at some point this week. So if you guys want to win that, I'll leave a link to the giveaway in the description box down below. Check that out, enter for a chance to win. For the time being, thanks for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.